Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live at the Waterhole. It's been a while since I've gotten to spend some time with all of you, and of course, the wonderful animals and the wonderful cams we have across Africa. We're starting off here at Africam's Rosie's Pan. Now, before the show starts, we have the opportunity to look through the different cameras, and I was quite surprised to see there's a lot happening. But here at Rosie's, it's always a pleasure because the elephants that come to this waterhole get quite close to the camera and we get some beautiful sounds. Now, hopefully you know my voice. If not, it's me, Trishala. Always happy to be your guide through the different cameras. Now, during Live at the Waterhole, I like to take it easy. I think of it as an opportunity to just be absorbed into the wildlife around you, however virtually. And we are live and interactive, so you can send through questions and comments, and I love it when you do. And we can have some interesting discussions. But if you want to just enjoy the sights and the sounds, because during Live at the Waterhole, for me, it's all about the animals. So if you want to just sit back and relax, go ahead and do that too. We're going to take long moments where we can do that together, but we'll also be answering any questions that you may have. Hi, Fuzzy Dunlop. You say happy cat day, Trishala. Oh, thank you so much. I wonder if we'll be lucky and see any cats to warm us up before the sunset safari this afternoon, where I'm sure Cat Day will definitely come to fruition. I'm sure up in Juma there'll be lots of cats around, at least I hope for all of you. And Catherine, you say it's great to hear my voice again. Thank you, Catherine. It's been a busy couple months for me, but I'm always thankful to have a little gap to spend with all of you. As much as I love being in the field, Live at the Waterhole is a really nice opportunity to give me a little window into African wildlife through the week too. So very, very happy to be here. It's also interesting to see the different waterholes. I mean, it has been a while since I've done Live at the Waterhole. Probably the last time was about 2 months ago. And when you have these long breaks in observations, I'll call them, you can really see some big differences. And right now, looking at Rosie's pan, I can see that the level of water has dropped significantly. The color of the water is a little bit more murky. And I'd like to notice those things as we go through the different water holes as well. As you know, this is the dry season. We'll only really expect rains October. November, we should be fully into the wet season pretty much, or at least the beginning of the wet season. We are in spring, but spring and autumn is not really a thing here in South Africa. The wet and the dry season are the most important climatic functions that we take into account because those really, really affect the environment. And therefore, what we get to see, the different animals, the behaviors, maybe even the quality of your safari. Now, I have been mostly, well, actually not mostly, but I've been in this, I'm at least in the city right now. And I've been seeing lots of little budding, little bits of growth on the trees and the plants around. And I suspect very soon we're going to start seeing that on the cameras as well. And just where that little Ellie was having a snack We can see tiny little bits of green. You can see it also in the distance, spottily. But for the most part, everything is still very dry. But as soon as those first rains come, it really will set off a chain of events that will just green the bush. Imagine all the vegetation around, everything pretty much concentrated below ground. And when that first moisture hits, it really triggers. It's a sign. It's something that plants will look out for. It's a chemical signal that says, "Hey, let's release all those things we've stored up, and let's begin to bud." And for me, that's my favorite time in the bush, kind of October, early November. Now, like I said to you at the beginning, Live at the Waterhole is about taking it easy, relaxing, and as a viewer said to me, oh, a long time ago now, might have been a couple of years or a year ago when we first started Live at the Waterhole, and I think it was Heidi who said, "We're adopting the pace of nature." And we really are. So sit back, relax, maybe grab something to drink. I'm having a mango juice, and just enjoy the different water holes. And in particularly, I'd love you for you to pay attention to the colors, the changes that you may have noticed, as well as the sounds and the sounds and the sights. There we go. Unfortunately, I can't engage your nose, but I'll describe what the bush usually smells like around this time. It's dry. You can almost smell the heat. You can smell the ground. That really doesn't make sense. It's not very helpful. But you can smell this um, almost like a lack of vegetation. And again, that will change as well once the rains come. Anyway, I'm going to keep quiet for a couple moments as we enjoy these elephants as they begin to move off from Rosie's pan. And soon we will too, and go watch another waterhole. But for now, let's take a couple moments. All those elephants have moved off, and so have we. We've come over to Tal in Madikwe Game Reserve. So interestingly, like I said to you before, we kind of look through the different cameras before the show starts, have a look at what's happening, and there was this gray heron, which you can kind of see in the middle there, and it caught such a big fish, and it gulped it down in no time. And then a crocodile got a little bit interested in the heron. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, just as the way it is, the crocodile was not quick enough. It was not even an attempt really on the heron, but they came so close and the heron moved off. I really thought we were going to see a semi live kill because we weren't actually live with the show yet, but at least I could have told you about it, and I get to tell you about it anyway, even though there was not a kill. And so much in the bush is like that. So there's so many close calls, so many potential situations where something crazy could happen. And other times where it seems as if everything is so calm and relaxed, and then suddenly out of nowhere something amazingly intense happens. And that's what I love about the bush. You really never know. Yes, there are signs, there are things that you can observe and make judgments based on. But a lot of the time, it's just a surprise. You never know what is going to happen. And that's what I love about the bush, and particularly about sharing it with all of you. During the height of the wet season, pretty much all of this is covered. We do get bits of the green popping through, but there's a lot of water. But if you look over um, where the water bucks all are, that's usually covered in water. But now they get to enjoy those bits of green grass and walk quite happily over it. It also looks dry, not very muddy, which is going to be helpful to animals that want to walk across. In the distance, we have a nice LE2. Two of them, actually. Catherine, you say where you are, you will go from a hot summer to almost winter in just a few days. Weather is insane. It is crazy how that can happen so quickly. In most of South Africa, the temperatures don't drop a lot, even if it is in the winter. It does get cooler, but temperatures don't really drop very low. Here, where I am at the moment in Johannesburg, in the dead of winter, in the early mornings, that's going to be the coldest it's going to get. And I mean, I've experienced -1 here in Johannesburg early in the morning or late at night. Well, not even late at night, early in the morning. But it doesn't last very long. And before you know it, in the middle of the day, it picks up to about 25 degrees Celsius. So there's not a huge range, temperature range. And because those very cold periods last for such a short time, it doesn't have a huge effect on the environment and vegetation. The availability of water does, though. So moving from the dry to the wet season, or the wet season to the dry season, those periods are where we see the biggest differences in the landscape. So much going on here at Tau. We've got a wildebeest that's very busy getting itself nice and dusty. We've got some elephants coming through. Now, during the dry season, that's when waterholes really, really pick up. Because during the wet season, there's all these little kind of seasonal pans that fill up, whether it's actually a pan or not. Maybe it's just a place where some animals have begun rubbing themselves, very much like this wildebeest has been doing, and widening depressions, and then those depressions fill up with water. So that means that animals don't specifically have to visit water holes during the wet season in order to drink. But during the dry season, all those seasonal pans have dried up. So more permanent water sources become a hub of activity. Some noticed is that they look a lot more chestnutty than the waterbucks that we see in Juma, which sort of are also browny, but it's more of a gray brown. This is a much richer brown. Now, the exact same species across different habitats, or even just different environments in a similar habitat, can look a little different. But that doesn't mean that they're different species. I mean, also, we must take into account that we're looking at them through a camera. So it might just be the way that the camera, this particular camera, is collecting color information. But it's just something I noticed. Anyway, I think we're going to come back to Tao quite frequently because there's so much happening. But there's an interesting lizard on the Stony Point camera. So I want to go over and have a look. Oh, wow. Very interesting. So here on the Stony Point camera, we often see lizards. Usually they're girdled lizards, and this does look like a girdled lizard too, but I'm most used to seeing the black girdled lizard in this area. Oh, I've got a little Dusty as well. I do enjoy this camera. I haven't seen the penguins in some time as well. Now, girdled lizards, they really enjoy rocky environments. Lots of little crevices to hide in. Rocks are also a great place to sun yourself. They absorb heat so well that the lizards can warm up their bellies and the tops of their bodies. It's a really good habitat for lizards and for dussies, also known as rock hyraxes, which tells you that they do well in rocky environments. Now, interestingly, on this camera, we've also been watching an Egyptian goose. She's got 2 eggs. It was quite close to the camera. And we first saw the eggs about 2 weeks ago. There were 3, now there are 2. Maybe we'll be able to move over and see how they're doing. Oh, hello. This Dassie is very close and very cute. Look at you looking out and showing the people why you like the rocks. So many nice spaces for you. Looks like it's a nice sunny day in the Western Cape too, which I'm sure any of you who live in the Western Cape are very thankful for. Oh, there she is. Hello, Mama. How are your eggs doing? Oh, we still got 2. That's a great start. Yes. Aren't those eggs precious? It almost looked like she disagreed. Are you getting tired of being a mum already? Definitely not. Look at her. So she's pulling in all these bits of down and create a nice warm seal for those eggs. Now all that down is her down. I've been wondering about the mechanism behind how birds release down. I'm not saying that very well, but I've been thinking since I've seen this particular nest, and also the fact that many birds do this when they have nests, the nests fill up with little bits of down, and that down doesn't belong to the youngsters because the down is present even at the time that there's just eggs in there. So obviously it's coming from the adult. But on an ordinary day, when an adult is not nesting, they're definitely not releasing that amount of down. So I wonder, because we know that there's a lot of chemical and hormonal changes that goes on when an animal is pregnant or taking care of its young. And I wonder if part of those chemical changes actually help kind of release feathers, particularly down, to help with the nesting process. Just a thought. Hi, yellow duck. You would like to know, is there something like infanticide but for birds? Kind of. More like siblicide. It's something that happens in raptors more often than other bird species. So the majority of the time, raptors, like eagles or vultures, they really rear more than 2 chicks at a time. That I can't even think of an instance where I've seen. Oh no, I can think of an instance where I saw 3 secretary bird chicks, but one was very much smaller than the other. But instances of siblicide happen when, because the eggs don't hatch together. Sometimes there's a few hours difference, maybe there's a day difference. So there's almost always one chick that's bigger than the other. Now that bigger chick may not intentionally go and harm its sibling, but it monopolizes every opportunity for food. So very often there is one chick that survives, and though the other one may for a little bit, a lot of the time it doesn't make it. Now the siblicide, the term in and of itself, means that one sibling actively attacks and kills another, which can happen as well, but more often than not, the death of one sibling is a result of being weaker. Now we have the wonderful cormorants giving us a good old gula flatter there. Keeping nice and cool. Oh, it must be a very nice warm day there in Betty's Bay. Ooh, a nice clear view of a white-breasted cormorant here, and you can very clearly see why it's called a white-breasted cormorant. Very nice, thick patch there of white. Now, the other cormorants we were seeing looked like Cape cormorants. Those are two very common species we see here. The Cape cormorant and the white-breasted cormorant. Now you could also see the crowned cormorant. I have seen one here. So this is also a white-breasted cormorant, but this one is not mature just yet. And so you can see that the white breast is going all the way down. Its entire chest and belly. Now, as it matures, the white towards the base by the belly will all begin, well, it will first shed those feathers and then the darker feathers would come in. And that contrast, the white chest against the kind of the darker belly, is what we see in the mature individuals. Really lovely, immature, white-breasted cormorant there. I've been just loving the sounds here at Betty's Bay. I was hoping we might see a few penguins, but I suppose most of them would have gone off to fish for now. They may go for several hours and then they'll come back. I see a few of them in the water at the edge of the rocks. But African penguins do the majority of their hunting during the day. For obvious reasons, there's light during the day, and there's light in the ocean during the day. And they primarily hunt using their eyesight. But you'll see them come to the beach and relax very much like this Dussie. I must admit, though, penguins really don't have the same kind of relaxation game as Dussies do. I mean, look at this. This could be me. That is Dussie life for you. Oh, that looks so good. Can you imagine the warmth coming off those rocks? Just think about it. You're a Dussie on the rocks. You get this wonderful ocean sound. The waves just hugging the shore. I'm starting to really become relaxed myself. Perhaps have a sip of your tea right now, or whatever else you have that you're enjoying the show with. Because I think we'll take a few moments here to just enjoy the ocean sounds, because it's so different to what we hear on the other cameras. How was that? What did you dream of? What did you imagine? I really felt like I was at the beach. I'm enjoying some mango juice. Like I said to you earlier, I had a bit of a sip of my mango juice. Now suddenly I feel for ice cream. Because for me, there's nothing like being on the beach and having some ice cream. Anyway, let's leave the ocean and this beautiful Egyptian goose who we will keep tabs on and see how her eggs do. She's probably got another 2 weeks of incubating them before we see any little ones, but we will definitely be keeping tabs on her. But for now, let's head back over to Tal and see what interesting bush sounds are there. Never mind. We can still head back to the bush though, but we'll head over to Tembe. Things always look so green at Tembe compared to pretty much most of the other cameras. And northern KwaZulu-Natal does receive a little bit more rain and is far more humid than the areas where we have our other cams, non-sea related cams. So things always look so lush. And we have my favorite, a beautiful elephant bull, and he's having a good old drink. I love the warthogs too. They're taking advantage of the green grass in this area. I always feel like Tembe feels like a little bit of a paradise because there's always water and there's always lush vegetation. Oh, look at this. I wonder if we have another nester here. Now, if I were an Egyptian goose, I would say that this is not the best place to be nesting. I don't know if she is nesting. Maybe she just decided to sit down. But I do see a couple of loose feathers kind of fluttering in the wind there. So maybe she is nesting. Egyptian geese nest near water. Sometimes they'll take over the nests of other animals like a hammerkop. Sometimes they'll nest on top of other birds like village weavers. If you are familiar with Chitwa Dam, Juma, you'll be able to see that sometimes. You'll see Egyptian geese just standing on the top of those weaver nests in the middle of the dam. But very often they just nest in areas like this, close to the water, could potentially get flooded if water levels change quickly. And actually, maybe that's not a bad place, because I was thinking about the movement of other animals. Say elephants come through, we can see the elephant's tail just in the side of our screen there. But where she is actually quite a small strip. I don't think many animals would walk there, particularly if they can reach the water from the more solid portions of ground. So we'll have to wait and see if she gets up. We see some eggs. That would be an excellent indication. And we'd have two expectant mums on the cameras. Oh, we've got another group here. Hello, guys. You're an interesting group. They don't look like they're nesting, they just look like they're chilling. You don't often see three of them, but one could be a recently turned adult, maybe just slightly immature, still hanging around with its parents. As you know, Egyptian geese can be very territorial and very vocal about their territories. And that tends to be that way, especially during the breeding. Well, they don't have a breeding season per se, but when they are breeding, they tend to be extremely protective of their territory. So it'll be interesting to watch their behavior. Oh, hello, Hammerkop. We were just talking about you. Oh, got yourself a frog there. Oh, that looks bigger than a frog. No, 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 it's some nesting material. Or maybe it's just a very flattened frog. Yes, fly towards us. Well done, Zoomy. No, it looked like it had actually just taken a little bit of the elephant dung that's become nice and wet. Now, Joy, you had a question about the elephant dung and particularly whether birds feed on the dung of the elephants. No, not on the dung itself, but birds do pick out things from the dung. So, elephant dung has a lot of vegetation in it, and as you know, they don't have a very efficient digestive system, so very much comes out the other end well, not mostly, but sort of untampered with, particularly seeds and fruits. So birds do sift through dung. You see it quite often with hornbills, with starlings as well. Basically, any bird that's after seeds, fruits, or insects can be seen sifting through the dung. But I haven't seen any birds eating the actual kind of stringy bits in the dung because the nutritional value is not really there. Things like seeds and fruits, if you've ever seen a marula pass through an elephant's system and you see it in their dung, it's still fleshy. So seeds have a protective outer layer. So a lot of their nutritional value is still held within the seed even after it's passed through the elephant's gut. So that's a valuable resource for seed eaters out there. Anyway, Tadiwa, who is in the director's seat this afternoon for Live at the Waterhole, has gotten very excited about a bird that she's seen at Rosie's Pan. So let's head over and see if she got the ID correct. Oh, nice one. Well done, Tadiwa. Tadiwa was right. It is a juvenile fish eagle. And it is really positioned in such a beautiful spot. My goodness, I'm really glad we got here when we did. Just in time to see that juvenile fish eagle. And juvenile fish eagles, if you haven't thought about it or seen one in a while, they can really throw a spanner in your bird ID works. Because you look at it and you think, what bird is this? It looks different to the adult, but there's a few things that can really help you out. Fish eagles are not, I should say, they look very distinct as adults. They've got that nice clear white bib, beautiful chestnut brown belly, bright yellow legs. So if you look carefully at the juvenile who has now flown off, you can kind of see where the bib could form. They have a very white neck, very exactly like the adult, but they're speckled and a little untidy looking. If you see and particularly eagles or raptors, if you see them and they look untidy, maybe they look spotty and blotchy, and the feathers are not quite well aligned, then you could be looking at a juvenile. And then from there, have a look at your bird list, whether you have a book or you have an app, and just see or read the descriptions for the juveniles, and you might be able to figure it out. But that most definitely was a juvenile fish eagle. Always a good one to see, to remind ourselves what they look like. Okay, let's keep on that elephant train and head over to Naledi Dam. There's some enjoying that well of water. Oh, the elephants love it here. Whenever they come to Naledi Dam, that well is their first port of call. They kind of use the actual dam more for playing and spraying themselves, although some elephants will spray themselves from the well too. But for drinking, they always go to the well. Now, this is also one of those cameras where elephants are very close to the speaker and the camera, so we do get the opportunity to hear them, sometimes even flapping their ears when they're nice and close. And we get to hear the sounds of them drinking and playing. Another thing I've noticed in this well is a lot of youngsters, they may not be able to quite reach it, but they can put their trunks over and into it, and they like to blow bubbles. Elephants all around. I know we get to see wonderful elephants right here, right now, but I haven't seen Juma in a while, and there's some elephants that have come down to Viatella Dam, so I'd love to go over and have a look at them too. Well, that was lovely. I always like to come to the Juma camera. Makes me feel like I'm there. Now, the dam has really lost a lot of water since I was last in Juma, and I was there not long ago, um, just for a quick visit. But you can see that quite a lot of water has been lost, but thankfully, there's still some water, and the wet season will follow soon. Something that we're all looking forward to, I'm sure. But now that the elephants have moved off, we're going to move away too and go over to Cat Eye Pad, where, you've guessed it, there are more elephants. Oh no, short lived elephants, but I can hear one close to the camera. So we're going to have a little bit of a look around, or we're going to get Tadiwa to have a look around, see if we can figure out where this elephant we can hear is. Now, something caught my eye just as we were leaving the Juma Dam, and that was a saddle-built stork. So if we can't find the elephant here, we'll head back to the Juma Dam cam and get a nice close look at that saddle-built stork. But first, we're going to let Tadiwa do her magic. Oh, thank you very much, Tadiwa. But there are no other elephants around. Oh, my goodness. I thought that microphone was an elephant's ear for a moment. But let's head back over to the Juba Dam cam. Hopefully that stork is still there and we can have a nice close look. There it is. Oh, saddle-bull storks. They have the most beautiful colors. Now this is a female. You can see that yellow eye. The yellow eye is with the saddle on her bill. Now the male has a little yellow wattle on its chin. And the eye is not yellow, but more of kind of like a browny, darker eye. So it doesn't look as obvious as the females, which is so clearly yellow. But the wattle is also a good giveaway. You see that on the male. Isn't that stunning? Even the sounds are wonderful, despite the wind. I know this edible stalk is beautiful, but we just saw something pretty exciting at Tao, so let's head over. Yay! Two black-backed jackals and an elephant. Oh, this is so nice. I really do love jackals. At first, we just saw one, and then the second one came through. Jackals are often seen in pairs. Sometimes you might just see one, but the partner is around somewhere. They don't always have to stick next to each other, but they are often seen in pairs, particularly if they're moving from one place to another. Now, coming to a waterhole is pretty much their destination. They may be stopping on their way to somewhere else, but come to the waterhole for one reason, and that is to enjoy water, whether that means they're bathing or cooling themselves or drinking, whatever it is a spot to stop. So at waterholes, when you see a jackal, you almost always see the second one too. Oh, now this is a party. This is how we should all be spending our Saturday mornings or Saturday afternoons. Treating ourselves with something nice to drink, some nice, refreshing, cool water, and then perhaps a little bit of a spa day. And make sure that you get all parts of the body not just the face, cover it with some good mud. And of course, a good cleaning too, once the mud bath is done, to pick off any pests that you may have on your body. Thankfully, us humans have far fewer than those that elephants and other wild animals have to contend with. Oh, my goodness, this youngster looks like it's having the best time. Yes, I could do with a mud wrap myself. There really is so much happening at Tao. I'm particularly interested in the crocodiles here at Tao. One, because we see them often, and a lot of the time they're moving around and doing things. And these two have been with each other since we started live at the waterhole today. When we checked in before we started the show, when we came to Tal earlier, these two were kind of together. Crocodiles don't, uh, they're not exactly social. but you will see them together if they are, just happen to be sharing some kind of resource like the water or the edges of rivers and dams where they sunbathe. But seeing them together in the water like this and almost, I could say, cuddling, I think one crocodile is trying to woo the other. Clouds, that's exactly what you're saying. You're saying, are these two a mating pair? I think so. This is not the type of thing you see on an ordinary day with crocodiles. They're not big time canoodlers. And this kind of behavior is really only associated with mating pairs. And I must say, it's very gentle and quite romantic. You can also see the lovely reflection of the elephants at the water's edge there. Oh, we've just moved across to the Juma cam and we see another juvenile. Also looks like a juvenile. I was about to say kingfisher, not a juvenile kingfisher, a juvenile fish eagle. And off it goes. And we are also going to move on now and head over to King's Camp, not very far from Juma at all, in the Tembavati Game Reserve, because there's some beautiful elephants, and I particularly love the angle of the camera there at King's Camp. Oh my goodness, it feels so relaxing and peaceful here at King's Camp. At Juma, it felt very action packed. You know, the movement of the wind and the sounds made us feel like something is is happening. It made us feel energetic. And here at King's Camp, it's bringing us back down to the pace of live at the waterhole. Nice and easy, and you can see exactly why I love this camera. The angle gives us a wonderful perspective, very much like Old Donyo. This is just so lovely, everyone. I'm keeping quiet and I'm going to continue to because the sounds of nature are just incredible right now. This is probably my favorite sighting of the day. The colors are magnificent, the sounds are stunning. Just take it all in. Was that not amazing? King's Camp was absolutely beautiful. And now we have this fish eagle that is also looking spectacular. And that lovely sun just falling on it. You can see it also looks pretty wet. Maybe it's just gone into the water, had a bit of a hunt, and now out and drying itself in the most glorious fashion. But for me, that sighting at King's Camp was just out of this world. Old Punkster, you say they kept coming to the camera for close-ups. So cute. I know, the elephants, one at a time, kept coming towards the camera looking as if they were saying hello to us. That was really, really special. But so is this here at Juma Game Reserve now. I wonder what this fish eagle caught, or maybe it just went in to have a bath. Fish eagles are very used to the water. As the name implies, they do a lot of their hunting in and around it. All I can think about is the wind chill. Being wet and it being windy must be getting really cold, but in fact it's probably not, because it has a nice thick layer of down very close to the skin that pretty much doesn't get wet. When birds bathe themselves, they're not really getting the water all the way down. Occasionally they can. You'll see them kind of spreading themselves out and wriggling in the water. And that's the best way to get to pests that are on their skin. But for pests to get on their skin in the first place, they've got to travel a lot, get through those top feathers all the way down the different layers to the down feathers at the bottom. Oh, that was a great big poop. Well done. So for you and me, it might appear that this is a very cold endeavor to wash yourself and then be blown by the wind. But for this fish eagle, it's probably not feeling that cold. Catherine, you had an interesting question. As the water starts to go down, the fish in dams, well, it depends. Some catfish, they'll be able to kind of burrow in and lay dormant until the next wet season. But a lot of them, oh, I'm just going to be quiet. Oh, that was amazing. Are you going to do it again? Did you notice the way it kind of flicks back its head? Oh, and off it goes. That was amazing. Oh, that was so cool. But as I was saying, some fish don't make it. And Catherine was wondering, are there any health risks for the birds eating the rotten fish or rotting fish at the dam? In the same way as us eating rotting meat, there could be some health risks. So what ends up happening with meat is that over time bacteria accumulate in it. So if you get food poisoning, for example, from meat, that's because there is an increase in some bacteria that's been in that food. And that could be things like salmonella, listeria, E. coli, bacteria like that building up in meat. So there's always some level of bacteria in meat. And there's always some level of those three things I mentioned as well. But the problem is that once it goes over what your body can handle, and that's where the difference comes in. So what we can handle as humans, our threshold for dealing with those kinds of pathogens and bacteria won't be the same as what birds can deal with, or what hyenas can deal with, or even leopards. They all have a different tolerance level. Oh, do we have a woolly-necked stork here? How interesting. So there could potentially be health risks associated with eating that rotting fish. But as far as I know, they won't be deadly, and we certainly haven't seen birds dropping dead after dry seasons and them kind of, having an open buffet at the dams. But that doesn't mean that they are not experiencing any discomfort from eating those foods with elevated levels of different pathogens or bacteria. Maybe they, may experience some vomiting or diarrhea, discomfort in that kind of way, but we wouldn't really know. Wouldn't really know that it's a direct result of eating the rotting fish. But as far as we can tell, in the wild, when it comes to things that are dead, nothing goes to waste. There's always some animal that can still tolerate whatever level of bacteria in meat. And there's always someone who will come along and for who that trash is actually a treasure. What a lovely collection of long-legged birds. Woolly-necked stork, grey heron, and a saddle-billed stork all together, chilling. Now you're going to see a lot more of this as the dam starts to get lower and lower, and more fish become vulnerable and exposed. You're going to see a lot of action, a lot of bird action. Now, one of the cameras where I love to spend time and I see a lot of action is Aldonio, and we haven't visited it through Live at the Waterhole today. So, how about for our last few minutes together before I hand you over to the Juma team? Let's go up to Aldonio. Oh, lovely. Now, I often get asked, why don't we see breeding herds here at Aldonio? And we do at night, mostly. And I was thinking perhaps these three on the left, part of a small breeding herd, but the closer I look, the more I think that's not the case. We'll just have to sit and wait. There's also been an interesting giraffe that we've been seeing here at Aldonio. It's kind of got like extra growths on its ears, as if it's got two earlobes. I wonder if we'll see that giraffe before we have to say goodbye too. And it seems like all the adults that are around at the waterhole now are all elephant bulls. Maybe these two youngsters recently, or younger elephants, recently joined this bachelor herd. Oh, I think we know this individual on the left with the backwards facing tusk. Let me just have a look at his other ear though, because the individual I'm used to with the backward facing tusk also has some quite noticeable notches in his ear. Anyway, everyone, it's time to say goodbye from me and Live at the Waterhole and hand you over to Liam for On Safari. Thanks everyone for joining.
Good afternoon, and live from the Safari tent in Juma Private Game Reserve. This is On Safari. So good afternoon once again from the team in Juma Private Game Reserve, Northern Sabi Sands, South Africa. My name is Liam Burrow. I'm the naturalist in the hot seat here in the tent this afternoon, the man behind the lens, Panda Glitz. We would love to remind you that this little pre-show program is live. It's very much interactive. And our director, Jordan, as well as myself and Panda are standing by, waiting to hear from you. So please, as we go through the next 5 stunning clips, our highlights for the last couple of drives, get in touch with us. Send those questions through. Let's have a chat. Hello, Cindy D. Nice to have you on board. Wonderful. As I say, we've got an exciting couple of clips to look forward to. I hope we can get through all 5. So with no further ado, I think we will probably take a look at the first one, courtesy of Amy Krantz and filmed here in Juma within the last 24 hours. So let's head over and have a look now.
I'm so excited to say that we have spotted a spotted eagle owl. Just perched on the branch. I cannot take the credit. Andrew's with us this afternoon and he spotted it. There's also an elephant in front of us, which is what I originally stopped to look at, and then he spotted the owl, which is just the most beautiful thing. I'm so excited to see it. Been looking since my last stint to see the eagle owl that's resident in this area. And how beautiful is that? Dr. Kumar, that is a fantastic question. The range for an owl's eyesight, I think it might vary depending on the size of the owl, but I think they have exceptional eyesight. I don't think it's quite as good as a vulture because they don't have to soar quite as high. But I mean, from where it's perched now, I think it would, without a doubt, be able to spot definitely something like a rodent scurrying below. It's in